Single dad offered shelter to his CEO, single mom, in storm. What happened next? Shocking. The rain pounded against the windows like an army of tiny drums, wind howling through the trees. Inside his small but cozy home, Tom Hayes, a 38-year-old single dad, was tucking his 7-year-old daughter, Lily, into bed. Lightning flashed outside, illuminating the stormy night, and with each roll of thunder, Lily clutched her blanket tighter. "Daddy." "I'm scared," she whispered. "I know, pumpkin, but we're safe inside. Nothing's gonna happen to us," Tom reassured her, brushing a wet strand of hair from her forehead. He'd just closed the door to her room when a sudden, frantic knock echoed through the house. At first, he froze. It was late, storm raging, and strangers weren't exactly welcome at this hour. Another knock followed, more urgent this time. Cautiously, he opened the door. Standing there, soaked to the bone, was a woman in her mid-30s, drenched hair plastered to her face, a designer coat clinging to her frame, and eyes wide with desperation. "Please." "I'm sorry to bother you," she said, teeth chattering. "My car broke down, and my phone died. I just need a place to stay for the night." Tom's heart raced. He didn't recognize her, yet something about the vulnerability in her voice made him hesitate only a second before stepping aside. "Come in. You can't stay out in this storm," he said gently. As she stepped inside, shedding layers of wet clothing, Tom noticed her carefully manicured hands and the expensive watch peeking from her sleeve. She looked like she belonged in a high-rise office, not on his quiet suburban street. I didn't want to impose," she stammered. "You're not imposing," Tom said. "Everyone deserves a safe place when they're stuck in a storm." Over the next hour, he made her a hot cup of tea while Lily, now curious, peeked from her bedroom doorway. "Mom?" she asked innocently. Tom smiled awkwardly. "Not exactly." The woman laughed softly, a little embarrassed. "I guess I'm not the kind of person who knocks on strangers' doors. I'm, Claire. Claire Whitman." The name struck a chord. Tom recognized it immediately. Claire Whitman, the CEO of a multinational company. The same one he had been struggling to get a job interview with for months. You're Claire Whitman?" he asked, stunned. "Yes," she admitted sheepishly. I know. This is not the usual way to meet someone from my company." Despite the shock, Tom kept his composure. "Well, welcome. You're safe here." They spent the night talking, sharing stories over warm mugs of tea. Claire admitted she'd been so consumed by work that she'd forgotten the importance of slowing down, of connection, of trust. Tom shared his struggles as a single dad, the challenges of making ends meet, and the joys of raising Lily. The storm outside seemed to fade as they laughed, cried, and bonded. By morning, the rain had stopped. Claire stood at the doorway, ready to leave, now wearing a genuine smile instead of her corporate mask. "Thank you, Tom," she said sincerely. "You didn't have to help me. But you did. I'll never forget this." Weeks later, Claire returned, this time as an ally. Not only did she offer Tom a stable job at her company, but she also became a mentor, helping him grow professionally while respecting his life as a devoted father. Lily adored her, calling her Aunt Claire. Tom realized that a simple act of kindness, opening his door to someone in need, had created a ripple effect, changing lives in ways he never imagined. In a world that often feels rushed and indifferent, sometimes it takes just one compassionate choice to remind us of the power of humanity. And that stormy night? It wasn't just rain and thunder. It was the beginning of a bond that would transform their lives forever. Months passed, and life slowly settled into a new rhythm. Tom balanced work at Claire's company with raising Lily, who had taken to calling Claire Aunt Claire, with a giggle that warmed everyone's hearts. Claire, in turn, began seeing life differently, slowing down, valuing the small moments and appreciating the quiet strength of people like Tom. One late evening, after a long day at the office, Claire invited Tom and Lily to her penthouse. Tom hesitated. He wasn't used to luxury, and he didn't want to feel out of place, but Claire insisted. As they walked in, Lily's eyes widened. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased the city lights sparkling below, and the warmth inside made the stormy memory of that first night feel worlds away. "Wow. This is amazing," Lily whispered, gripping Tom's hand. Claire smiled softly. I wanted you both to see the world from my perspective. Not the office, not the boardroom, but what it feels like to pause and take it all in. Tom noticed something shift in Claire that night. She wasn't just a high-powered CEO anymore. She was human, vulnerable, and remarkably generous. And he realized how much courage it must have taken for her to knock on his door that stormy night, trusting a stranger with her safety. As they sat down to tea, Lily piped up, Daddy, can Aunt Claire stay for dinner every week? Tom laughed, shaking his head. We'll see, kiddo. But before they could continue, Claire reached into her bag and pulled out a small wrapped package. I wanted to give you this, she said, handing it to Tom. Curious, he opened it to find a sleek notebook embossed with the words, Dreams in Progress. Inside, Claire had written a note. Tom, you reminded me that kindness is powerful, that opening your door, opening your heart, changes lives. Keep chasing your dreams, and don't forget that people will show up when you least expect it. Tom's eyes blurred. He looked at Claire, and for a brief moment the world seemed still. You really mean that? He asked, voice tight. Claire nodded. More than you know. That stormy night. It wasn't just a coincidence. It was a reminder that humanity matters, and now, we both have a choice to keep that kindness going. From that day forward, Tom became more confident at work, advocating for himself and others with a renewed sense of purpose. Claire continued mentoring, but she also became a friend, a partner in building a small community of support for single parents in the city. And every stormy night, when rain rattled the windows, Tom and Lily would smile. Because they knew sometimes, a knock on the door wasn't just a disruption. It was the start of something life-changing. In the end, the storm wasn't just weather. It was the catalyst for compassion, connection, and a future none of them could have imagined. But all of them needed weeks turned into months, and life settled into a rhythm that none of them expected. Tom Hayes, 38, still the same devoted single dad in his gray shirt and jeans, found himself juggling work at Claire Whitman's company with caring for Lily, whose shoulder-length brown hair bounced with excitement every morning. Claire, 35, the once high-powered CEO in her wet blue coat, now softened by vulnerability and warmth, had become more than a friend. She was family. One rainy Saturday, much like the night she first knocked on their door, Claire invited Tom and Lily to her company's rooftop garden. The city below was slick with rain, shimmering reflections of lights glimmering on wet streets. Lily, holding Tom's hand, looked up at Claire with awe. It's like magic, she whispered. Claire knelt down to Lily's level. It's the world from up here, she said, but it's also about seeing what's right in front of us. Tom watched them, a quiet smile on his face. He realized how much had changed since that stormy night. That one act of kindness, simply opening the door, had created ripples they couldn't have imagined. He thought of the first knock, Claire's soaked coat, her nervous eyes, and how something so simple had built trust and connection. Later, in the warmth of their living room, Claire handed Tom an envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter. Tom, kindness isn't just about what you do for others. It's about believing in the good that still exists in the world. That night, you reminded me of that. Keep believing, keep giving, and the world will surprise you. Tom felt tears prick his eyes. Lily, sitting on his lap, hugged him tightly. Daddy, you're a hero, she said with childlike certainty. It was in that moment Tom understood. Heroism wasn't about grand gestures. It was about compassion, selflessness, and showing up when someone needed you most. And sometimes the world rewards that kindness in ways you never expect. Months later, Tom was thriving professionally and personally. Claire had become more than a mentor. She was a true friend, a part of their little family. And Lily. She had learned one of life's most important lessons, that simple acts of generosity and empathy could change lives forever. And as another storm rolled in one night, Tom, Lily, and Claire sat by the window, sipping tea, watching rain streak down the glass. No fear, no anxiety, just the quiet reassurance that a single act of kindness had reshaped their world, and that together, they could weather any storm. The storm outside had passed long ago, but its impact would linger forever.